All right, I'm just kind of doing a dry run here with this thing I want to show you that if you don't know what way the connecting rod goes on. See, mine came out in pieces. It was destroyed, so I had to figure out, okay, what way does it go in? The nitro arrow A figure 7 to this one on the piston and mag on the rod must face the same direction. When installed in the engine, the notch will face the flywheel. So this bottom part here is the flywheel side, right? That's where the coil and everything go on. So the piston will be down like this, so you can see the word fly. So that way. Now the connecting rod was the part that I had an issue with. I had to figure out, okay, how does that go in there? But I don't really have a good marking on the connecting rod, and I'll show you that. And this is a Briggs Intech 1731F7770318E1. That is the model number if you look it up online. But I want to show you this. Let's see if I can get a good shot. It does not go this way, and I wanted to show you to give you a, well, it can't go this way. It will hit the sleeve right there if you try to put it in this way. I'm just doing this to show that there is only one way it can go in. See that? It hits right there. So that means that's got to be flipped. So your bolts are going to be on this side, which I found out that it was going to be over on the cam side. But just for reference and curiosity, I wanted to see, can it go in backwards? The answer to that is no. It won't turn over. So you're going to put it in like this. And this can only go in one way, because it's got this groove. I actually checked with my small engine shop too, to make sure that the direction was right. Yeah, so you put your bolts in on this side, you got more room here to get them in and tighten them. And plus you can see here, there's a cutout. Probably for this bolt to clear here. So I'll throw the bolts in kind of loosely, and then I'll just show you. Alright, so here you can see you got room that you can get the Torx in here if you need to. I'll have to get the torque on that. As you can see that it clears right here, just barely. And then over here, it's fine. It's got a thing here to clear that. Okay, so now what I gotta do, I got all that set, so I gotta take this apart. I gotta clean it a little bit more here. I got a couple spots where stuff could be cleaner than what it is. Then I will put the piston in final with the rings, the new rings, and I'll put it together. I got to put the governor shaft in here. These guys, push rods I can slide in after. Throw the cam in. I'm gonna oil everything really good. I got WD-40 on it now, but I'll wipe some of that up and get some actual motor oil on it. And I'm definitely not a pro whatsoever. I'm barely even an amateur at this, so I'm just kind of showing you what I do or am doing. I'm just kind of getting it running, basically. There's tolerances on, you know, like the sleeve and the piston, and you know, other things. The crank. I suppose I could plastic gauge this, but I don't know. I'd have to get some plastic gauge, and maybe I will, but we'll see. One good channel to go to is James, what is it, Condon, I think it is. Yeah, he works on a lot of this stuff, and he shows you really good methods of doing this if you were working in a shop and doing it, I guess you'd say the right way or the better way, where you measure all this stuff and you measure all the tolerances that Briggs gives you, like this. Is that war too much? It gives you a, you know, plus or minus whatever 5 thousandths or whatever it is. But I'm not gonna go in depth into it because I'm not actually like rebuilding it. I'm just trying to get it, see if I can get it to run. I guess the right way would be to do that, but I don't have all the gauges either to check the uniformness of the sleeve, see if it's completely round in all directions. But I feel like I'm doing good enough that it's gonna run and run for probably longer than the mower. Unless something catastrophic happens to it, but hopefully it's not the case. When you're dealing with used stuff, you take that risk. Yeah, again, I don't see any damage to other stuff. It's a ladybug. I know this fails sometimes. And it'll just, pin will break off and it'll fly off. But I'm gonna chance that. Alright, so I'm gonna replace this bushing. I took the seal out here. In the book it says measure how far in it is. So I wrote down on this side, it's 560, measured with the caliper. From the bearing to the outside edge. $567 actually. And so I wrote it on there. I did the same on this side. It's 108 on this side. And 124 over here. So either that thing wasn't cut completely straight, or it was put in somewhat crooked. So you got to get rid of these. These are to hold it in place. So I'm going to probably push that down. Whatever side measure I have it from. I think it wants it run in from the seal side. But I think I have a problem getting this out this way. Getting this some in there to pry that up. I don't know, I'll have to see. Alright, so the old one is 1.18. New one is 1.125, so about a 1/16 of an inch smaller. But I don't think that'll make a difference. But the new one also has 2 oil holes versus the old one had 1. And the book said to mark where they are, depth, and then I took some pictures too of where it's supposed to be. So the slit's gonna be there. You can see my picture. The hole was down there. Let's see, I can put it like this or like this. But to put that in the same spot, it's right directly in line with this groove here. So the slit doesn't match here. I have a slit written down here, and that would be like lined up that way on the bottom. So it doesn't match that way. So, but this way it does. So that's the way it goes. That's why it's great taking pictures. So that means I gotta put it in like this. But I gotta clean that hole up better. I did a little bit of grinding actually. I ground a little bit on this with a Dremel. Because I couldn't get nothing in there, so I just made this a little bit weaker. So when it starts pushing, it'll just kind of fold in. But I need some grinding dust too, which never really is a good thing, but I'll blow that out after. I'm gonna clean this out and then I'll blow her out real good after I get her in there. I'm probably gonna use the old one, I think, to hit her in. Maybe a board for now. Try and get it down. See if I can do it up here. Maybe I'll get my board back. There you go, that's pretty solid. So slit is there. Alright. I will work on this and be back. Alright, so now, I did notice taking it out, it worked good to put it on something like this, which actually says what to do in the book. Get something solid underneath or right under here. I just use a 2x4. So I'm going to get her down a little bit more. I'm going to use the old bushing. That's the only problem, is it likes to rock. To get down or the socket would work better. There, it's going down. And I also don't want to mushroom this. Alright, I got her pretty good. Now I just got to stake this so it can't turn on both sides. It's pretty close. It's within 10 thousandths. It's good enough. Plus, remember the new one was a little bit shorter than the old one. Alright, hit it with an 1/8 inch punch there and there. You can see it's way into the groove, so that ain't gonna turn. But I might have to deburr this a little bit. So I'll just do that with a round file. I don't want to take off much, just a little bit of the burr. Probably not the right thing to use either, but it'll live on the edge a little bit, huh? Trying to just take on the edge and not any of the rest of the bearing. There, that should be good. Let's see if it'll fit in there. It should. Oh, beautiful. Just beautiful. Okay. Now just the seal left. And that, I don't know if it's gonna go. Pretty much just flush should be good. Like that. Make sure it's the right size, huh? Yeah, it's gonna seal on here. This is going to go in the bearing and the seal is going to seal here. For that, I will use the old one. It's right here. I just want the spring part towards the oil. That's probably pretty good. You don't want to go in, let's see here. Does it have a point where it stops? Because there's a hole here that gets lubricated from the pump, but that's not going to be covered because the seal will not go that far. That should be good. Alright, let's get these rings installed. So let's do this one. And then I need these. I don't think matter. The top two matter as far as which direction. I'm gonna go from the bottom, I think. Okay, that one's on. Just trying to go under the other one. We want her on top. Now the expander is overlapping. That's cool. Come on, be nice, you. Alright, I'll be back in a bit. Let's see if we can get this guy on here. The center ring has 2 paint stripes. And the top one's got 1. Right there, orange and white. And orange. That's got to be to the right of the groove. And we want to get it enough to get it over, and that's it. Don't really want to get sideways pressure on it. Sorry about eating my head there. Okay. Now let's do the last one and be done. There we go. Alright, let's do the piston here. I couldn't find the clock position for the rings. It's not in the book. I think it says to use what it says in the ring instructions, but there's nothing on there. It's only the how you put them on. So I was thinking about going 180 and 180 and then 120 on the oil ones. I'm not sure. I'll let you know what I do here. Alright, so I'm going 180 on the compression ones. So I got one here, then I'm going 180 on these. Top ones here, other top ones here. I mean the bottom ones, bottom oil ones here and here. It's kind of 180, there's 4 of them, so pull them that far apart. That's just what I'm doing. There's a lot of different ways. Alright, so I put her in here. And now we will try and get her in here. There we go. Battery's almost dead. Alright, one thing you want to make sure you do is put this governor rod in first before you put this in. Don't ask me how I know that. or why I would tell you that. There's another washer for here, but it does not fit here. And judging by the parts diagram, there's only one. So I'm thinking it's supposed to be right here for when the next part of the governor goes on. This part. That's where I'm going to put it, because you can't get this clip on here if you have it here. It won't fit. Now I got a problem with, this is the torque I need to tighten this up. The connecting rod. But it's 3/8 drive. And I don't have an adapter. Somehow I don't have an adapter. Or I do and I can't find it, but I don't think I do. Alright, well, since I can never seem to get anything done because I always run into issues, I might as well put the head on. This push rods can get slipped down after. I believe this is ready to go. Should be. There it goes. I won't be able to put them in until I get the cam in. But I gotta find, I either gotta get a 3/8 torque wrench, borrow one, or I gotta get an adapter. And that sucks. Alright. Head bolts. Alright, I got the head bolts on, but I'm not gonna torque them yet because I want to make sure there's nothing I have to take apart or anything, and I'll torque them after. Probably after I get this, probably the sump on, then I think I'll torque this. So once the sump is on, that's going to be about it as far as inside there. Unless I really screw up, that should be it for that. All right. So I got an extension. It's not a short one. So I have a manual for this, for the Briggs, and what I like to do, if you got it out here and you got oily hands, you'll get it all full. So I like to just take pictures of the pages that I need. So it says tighten screw closest to piston first. So it'll be this one first. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go half to start it. Half torque. And then let's see here. The torque is, this is a 310,000 series. It's a 31F. Let's see. Connecting rod, 150 inch-pounds. So I'm going to go with 75 first. Definitely got to make sure you're inch-pounds and not foot-pounds, because you twist them. You'd probably pull the threads out of the aluminum, I would think. So connecting rod, 150. I'll get my torque wrench set up. Okay, I'm going to go with 50 first. See, it's not easy getting in here, but it will work. torque on that one yet. That's 50. Okay, now I'm gonna go 100. Okay, the one closest to the piston first. And I gotta get me some adapters. I wonder if somebody didn't work on this at 1.2 and didn't tighten it tight enough, and it just backed out. You never know. That's 100. Now I go to 150. 150. Next one's a 155. So here we go, final torque. Let's do this. I gotta kind of hold this up here. Must have been really close to it. Nothing there. Do this one once more. Alright, I think we got her. Now, if it still turns. Alright. We're in business, huh? Because if you tighten that too much, a lot of things could happen, none of them good. You could strip it out. The bolts could break, which are probably really hard, but it probably would pull the threads out of the connecting rod. And you might not turn at all if you go too much. That's why it's important to torque it to the right torque. And so it ain't too loose and it comes out. Alright, now what's the next step? Now the head bolts are not tightened, but I will remember that. Okay, so I think I'm going to slip these in next. But I'm going to get some gloves on, I think. I'm going to get oily. Okay. So I get a little bit of oil going here. Now the intake side is the top one here. Because if you look at this, you can see that this is the intake manifold. And if you don't know, not only is it clean, but you don't think you can see it, but if I push this valve right here, if I push this valve here, that's the one that's moving. So this one is the intake one. And a lot of other indications that this is exhaust. There's heat here. Probably was running too hot and it's dirty. All carbony. But the reason why you need to know that is because so this is the intake one here. It probably isn't real critical yet, but we'll be putting the push rods in because one's steel, one's aluminum. Aluminum goes on the intake. I did mark these coming out. This one, you can barely see it now, but this was intake. So I'm going to clean him up and then throw some oil on it. This is just a quart that I had started. It's just Honda oil. Must have been an oil change I did, 10W30. I'll probably run this thing. I should just put some in the cap, I think. I'll run this thing for a while and then I'll just do an oil change on it. Let's see why my fingers will get all full of crap. So this is the intake one. I don't think it matters, but maybe it kind of wore in a certain way. Throw them guys in there. Some lube on there. Are you even seeing anything? All right, now it's really impossible to get a decent view here. Guess I'm gonna put up here, so I'm gonna spill it. Now I think we're ready for the cam. Let me think. So I'm going to do a little bit of oil in here. I want to oil that guy where the cam sits in, or here. Let's pour a little bit in there. Pour a little bit over here. That'll work. Now, do you know what has to be done here? Timing marks. If you don't line them up, it ain't gonna run. So there's a mark right there. Let's see. Oh, oily now. See it? There's a mark there. And a mark there. And that's going to get your timing right, so your well, basically it'll run then. If it's not timed right, then it ain't going to fire at the right time. Your valves will be out of time and nothing will work. All right. Now we need this guy, the governor / oil flinger. There is a little mark on the gear, on the teeth, right here. Probably something hit it, one of the chunks, the debris hit it probably. But I think it'll work fine. So that is that's gonna go right here. And what's gonna hold that from swinging is the sump here, the sump cover. The sump cover is gonna hold this right here, in this groove will ride right here. You can see the wear from it going up and down. As you can see how it goes up and down. As it goes. Up and down. It's your counterbalance for a single cylinder. That's going to ride right here. The governor is going to ride, let's see, right. I think it rides right in here, I think. Something like that. Somewhere in here, I think. It stays put anyway when the sump is on. Is what I'm saying. So to get the sump on, I gotta get this down straight, and this has to be lined up about right here, and then it'll kind of center itself then. Okay. And the good old governor works like so. It's locked onto the cam gear here, and as the engine revs up, centrifugal force pushes this out. Let's see if I can make it happen here. See that? It pushes this out as it turns faster. So that in turn turns the governor here and adjusts your throttle. Does it automatically for you. That's pretty cool, huh? Okay. So sump is gonna need, let's make sure that I don't think anything moved, but the timing is on yet. Alright, to do some more lubing. And get this lubed so the seal goes over it easily. The gasket is on. And we'll do inside here. You can't see. And the seal. Alright, I am gonna put a thin layer of black RTV on here because I don't want it to leak, and that will seal up any little imperfections in the sump and the case here. So I'll be back in a bit. Alright, there's one layer on the bottom here. Just a thin coat. I'll put a thin coat on the top here. This is made for engines and oil resistant. Last I used it was on the King Quad project. Not on the brakes one, but one I was doing before I started doing these videos. Alright. Put this guy back in his place. Now I think this seal is cooperating, I believe. Because I got so much oil on it. Looks like it's going on the way it should. And if something was out of place, you'd know it because the cover wouldn't go on. If the governor was over too much or the counterweight was not there, she wouldn't slide down all the way. I think this is good here. Looks like it. I got all the bolts cleaned up and they're all the same length, so you don't have to worry about that. However, I do see that there was a Loctite or something on it, so I'm going to put a little bit of Loctite on because I don't want them coming out. I'll just put a little bit. It's worn a little bit. It seems like it comes out fast. dripped. Dripped right here. There is a tightening sequence on this. Some of these are not going in the greatest. But that's how it always works. It seems. All right, let's get a socket on that. A couple of these are a little bit going in a little tighter, but it could be from the old Loctite too. Powdery residue that was left. I did wire brush them all, but there's a little bit left on there. It's probably what it is. I'm not too worried about it. Just that the torque isn't going to be correct. All right, the sequence from the book is 1, 2. It's basically across from each other. 3, 4. That one's not actually labeled, but it's the only one it can be. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I'm going to start with 50 inch-pounds. What was it? 220. One. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I know I'm cool, I can count, huh? 8. 9 and 10. Okay, I'm going to do that until I get to the final 220 inch-pounds. Alright, I'm doing the final torque, and I'm just marking them as I go, so I know that they're done. Well, actually this is, I already did them, I'm just checking them. I'm going over it again. Alright, while I look for the bolts for this, for the oil pump, I will put the oil sensor on. I'll put a little bit of Teflon tape on it. I don't want a lot, just like one wrap. I got it going this way, so that way when you tighten it, it doesn't bunch it up. So kind of like the trail edge of it is that way. So when you tighten it, it doesn't bunch. But you guys already know that. it wasn't there pretty good. I'm just gonna put a small crescent on it. That should be good. Don't want to go nuts. I don't see why I can't put the oil filter on here. So I'll use a little bit of oil I was using before. Put that in the gasket. And is it clean in there? It's pretty clean. And that's nice. I usually go as tight as I can get it by hand when I put them on. And then they end up tightening themselves with the heat. Alright, so I really got this to do down here. And then that's about it. I think that seal is good. Oh, and also I need the oil drain here, which is this. Just put my Teflon tape away too. Alright, put Teflon tape on here. And I'm gonna put it in somewhat tight, but enough room that I can move it because I don't know which direction it should be. Alright, now let's do this. The gasket set did not come with this, but this one looks like it's in really good shape. So I'm going to RTV it on both sides and put her on. First, I got to put this little flapper on there. It must be like a valve. When it gets pressure, it probably opens up. That's what I'm thinking. But this goes here. And that is a little guy. You can see that it was this way because you can see right here the outline of the case, and you can see the screw head was here. You can tell a lot of stuff by looking at hints of marks or whatever of how something goes. Okay. I just use a screwdriver for him. I don't want to get him real tight. So I don't want it to snap off. So he'll open like that. Alright, now this guy, you'll need the gasket. I got 2 screws here. And they got teeth in them. You can see the teeth were on there. So I'll get that silicone that I put away already. One time I put stuff away, trying to be more organized, and then I need it again. And this probably has a very small amount of oil that gets up there. It's got a little hole, almost like a jet from a carburetor. Alright, I got our TV on both sides. Move it over a little bit. Throw these guys in. There might be a torque for these, but I'm not worried about it. Just don't over torque them and break them. It's probably bigger size than a quarter. Five 16ths. It is. Get rid of some of these bolts. I'm gonna make sure I can get him in there before I go too nuts here. Yeah, I'll get him in there. Alright, so this is why I like to take pictures before I take stuff apart, or when I take it apart. This is showing the wire being here and on the bottom. So how do you know if it's supposed to be like this or like this? And then what clock position? And maybe it's different. Maybe it only goes on one way. Doesn't appear so though. Well, it'll go on different ways, but this is the way that it was right here. Just like that. So I'll put him on. That's when I get this thing going back together and get my workbench back. You don't actually need a socket for quarter, because typically the end of the screwdriver is quarter, like a nut driver bit. One that you'd run a bit in like this. It's typically a quarter, so it'll fit right on there. Alright. Alright, how about the starter? I know this is more weight I gotta carry, but it's also easy to do it here. Come on now. Be nice. That's gonna go up and grab the flywheel. Another reason why I like the pictures. See here, I got a clip. So it's gonna be like this. Like that. Holding this wire here. Which I think you could get that in after. You could even bend it a little bit if you had to, but I feel like there's something that I'm doing out of sequence and your guys are like, oh no. Okay. What else can I put on? Aha, see, I did take a picture of this. Right there is that other washer for the, right here. Alright, I'm gonna get this in here before I forget. Should be able to poke them in there. There, like that. Governor, I'm gonna have to figure out here. This is gonna go over like this. The good thing is I have pictures. Okay, so I think judging by this picture, I have, it looks like the spring is hooked up on there. So I think, so there's 3 bolts for them. Alright, so now I'm going to drop the push rods in. One's metal and one is aluminum. Aluminum is on the intake one. Intake is here. So this is the valve right here. And I pushed on it so I know that that one is it. You can see the wear marks here, where the guide is right here. So you can kind of, it probably doesn't matter what way they go, but I'll put them in the way that they were. So to do that, I'm gonna use a little bit more oil. I'm just gonna dip them in this. And I gotta get them in the, where they belong. Okay, that one went right in. Now if they move, we're in business. Look at that. Okay. So now I want to get the valve stuff done here, so I don't have to worry about losing the stuff. Every part I put on, that's one I don't lose. Alright, I'm going to put these little guys on, the valves, and I'll put a little oil on them. Now for these guys are going to pivot in here like that. Alright, the screws are these with the shoulder on them, this flat part. So let's get this done, and then the engine will be sealed except for the drain. So I'm going to put some oil on this. Just a light coat. O-rings usually seal pretty good. Alright, so since the wear on these looks like it matches the cover, I'm going to put that up. I'm going to give it a little bit of oil. Give this guy some oil. This part here, that's driven off the cam, can only go in here one way. It can only go that way. This way it doesn't fit. Put it down so it goes into the cam. Now this guy can go in here. Like that. Now the O-ring should seal that. There's a certain way it goes. Let's see, works that way. Works that way. And it works that way. So, put them guys in. Don't really know why it's got these on here. Maybe so if something gets in there, it doesn't push through. Alright, it says oil pump cover 90 inch-pounds. Oil pump cover 90. So I'm gonna go, I got set at 50. I'm just gonna kind of get a little bit of pressure on. Okay, now each one's biting a little bit. There's 50, 50, 50, and I'll go 90. All right. That'll do it for that. As you get this done, and then fill it with oil, and I'll put it down here and make sure it doesn't leak anywhere before I put it into the lawnmower. So I need this and this. So it sits in the lawnmower like with the head cylinder back to the back of it. So I don't think that you'd have the drain plug going this way, be going that way. So that's how I'm gonna aim it. And pretty much level, I think. So I think it's got enough pressure on it that if I put it here, it'll be plenty tight. Actually, I'm gonna go around again. It doesn't seem very tight now. That's definitely gonna be it. Okay. Now this goes into here. Clean. It's pretty clean. All right. Thread sealant on this guy. I got it pretty clean, but if there's a little bit in there, one little speck, it ain't gonna hurt because it's just going in the out next time you drain it. But it's pretty clean anyway. That is pretty good. This thing could be a hair cleaner. Okay. Now it should hold oil. All right, so now what's left? I have to torque the head bolts. I think I'm gonna just do that with it in the machine. And I'll adjust the valves then. I'm gonna put the oil dipstick on though. That way I can fill it with oil. Put this over here. Not sure where that mounts, so I gotta clean it too. It's yucky. I think it mounts in the cover. Yeah, on the shroud. And I gotta get the keyway for the flywheel. I didn't get that yet. And I got a carb kit for it. I think, yeah, I got a carb kit for it. And there's a couple of wires I gotta put on too. And there's all this. This O-ring is for the oil pump I just put in. It's an old one. Maybe I'll keep it around for a bit yet. Don't know what them are for, but I'll figure it out. There's the valve cover. He'll get put on later. I don't know if I'm just gonna silicone it. I'll probably just silicone it. I think. Otherwise I could. No, it's pretty oily. So really the flywheel is going to be holding me up. So I don't have that keyway. And the other crank did not come with one, I don't think. Yeah. That's the old one. Here's the carb. The Walbro. Getting there. I'm glad to see it's getting intact now. A lot of these parts are getting used up. So next I'm going to clean this. so I can at least get this on. Yeah, I have a new O-ring for that then. I was trying to figure out if that O-ring was for the thing in here, but it's an orange one, so probably gonna fit that. It was a little bit too big for this. All right, I'm gonna replace this. It's better. It's not completely clean, but a lot better than it was. Oh, I got some stuff in here yet. I gotta get... Air does wonders for cleaning this stuff. All right. I want to get something run down here yet. Just to get it a little bit cleaner. Here's a new one. Looks like that's it. Should be pretty easy to get on. All right. Now I gotta get something through there. There it goes. Still a little bit of gunk in there. All right, I'm gonna clean it more. All right, looks like the gasket set came with this one too. So we'll get him on there. Right. Now does he seal the hole good? Feels like it, but who knows? All right, so this is gonna kind of just hang here because it needs the shroud to mount.